Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching. It's us again at this midday hour. Me and the mighty Win. How are you, my friend?
Not bad at all, not bad at all. Recovering
Well, yeah, it's the
from
start of
the
the
recovering
Cellar
from
Cup
the
today.
drama last night.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately, I missed the end bit. I watched the start, but unfortunately, family commitments. I couldn't watch till the end. So I heard it was a good performance by all. If anybody
It
watched
was
the or
indeed. It
didn't watch the
was
debate.
well argued points.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Bringing it across in a good manner.
What we are
But
all about. Differences of opinion settled amicably.
amicably, indeed. And it was the public vote, and obviously, if you hadn't had a chance to watch it, I mean, I shall re-watch it today from the part that I missed because they were obviously getting some good points across. So it was interesting to at the start, but like I say, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go back and revisit it towards the end. Um, But anyway, before we get into today's, let's do some housework. Again, welcome to everybody that's watching across all platforms. It's lovely to have you with us. Thanks to everybody working in the background, doing an amazing job. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy. It just helps us as a channel to get further as a channel. Subscribe, it's totally free. Hit the bell for future content. We've got loads of different things coming. 7 days a week with content. And obviously, if you want to help us grow as a channel, you can become a member for a small monthly fee. And that just gives you access to members only channels and a chance of winning prizes. Don't forget to check our webpage, nufctalk.tv, for news and content. That will is updated as soon as we've got some info to put out there. It's totally ad free. We do it free of charge. It's just literally for the love of the fans and the club. For anybody that's involved in today's chat, please put a Q in front of the question if it's something that you want me and Win to take a closer look at, and we'll do our best to answer the question. And
Just on
apologies
the
again to
subject of the website, Gary.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
had a few private chats with people who are saying we keep going on the website, and there's nothing new being posted. Well, that's because we only put stuff on the website that is kind of verified and checked out from multiple sources, if you like. So, I'm just noticing in the chat this morning, for example, and in the comments already on here, Newcastle have put in a second bid. Apparently, we've bid 40 million for Gee. Now we've bid 50 million for Gee, and they've both been knocked back. But we haven't seen that verified anywhere. When we do
no,
see it verified, we will then compile all of the various reports from the various sources, put them all together, obviously just the text, removing all the adverts so you don't have to fanny on with adverts on all the other sites, and you can go onto the website and you can more or less guarantee what you see on there has been
is fact.
verified to the best of our ability. Obviously, some
Yeah,
things might
exactly.
eventually turn out wrong, but
And the
that's why there's not something every day.
Yeah, that's what we said. It's something that we do for the love of it. It's like I said, we aren't journalists. We're not freelance or anything like that. It's just something that we do for the love. But again, there's so much info out there. By the time you start writing stuff on one thing, a source will come out saying total difference. So, and we've been caught out in the past with stuff like that. So, we do tend to wait until there's like Win says, good source before we add anything to that web page. But obviously now, like the likes of Asula is on board. There'll be obviously some information regarding Asula. We'll be making some inroads into giving some content about him and his past, and obviously what Eddie Howe is expected from him in the future. Just
Can I
going back
just
to what we
jump in
said.
there a second, Gary?
Yeah, yeah.
Just because we've got David's in the comments there, David Knight saying he's setting off to Newcastle now from Crewe.
Hey.
Be there in 4 hours, lol, toon. Safe journey, obviously, David. And
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
to let you, I don't know what your pre-match plans are, but for anybody watching or anybody who's going to the match today, we are all meeting up in Aspers, Frears Bar in Aspers, home of the £4 pint on match days, and we'll be there from about 5 o'clock. So anybody who wants to say hello to all the other fellow people in the chat, and I'll be there. I think Paul's going to be there, the prof. So if you fancy that, get yourself down to Aspers at 5 o'clock. We'll be there from about 5 till 7.
There you go. I mean, to be fair, to get an autograph from the mighty Will, I mean, that's better than getting one from Shearer.
That's not quite what I had in mind. But
And a photo. I mean, he doesn't charge too much extra. I think it was £1.50, wasn't it, Win, for a photo? So yeah, apologies again to anybody in the chat if we don't mention things straight away. I mean, we do our best, but like I say, sometimes I've got half a dozen screens open in front of me, so I can't see the chat. So I do rely on obviously Win picking up anything like he's just done there, and obviously going forward as we go through the channels, we will do our best to highlight any messages that you guys have linked to us. But obviously, if you want to guarantee that, and I say that with tongue in cheek after just giving you an apology for not doing it yesterday. If you want to guarantee it, just use the $sign, follow the instructions. And again, if one of us should pick it up, I've got my other screen working today. I hope it just stays that way. I'm in the midst of fixing it, but it should be okay for today. So I should be able to see your chat and I can support that going forward. And obviously gifts and new members, they'll be highlighted as we go. So there we go. So obviously the biggest thing that I was going to say, not the biggest thing, but I suppose what we should start with is obviously this. It's obviously the start of the Cellar Cup today. And we played Girona or St James's Park at 7:30 kickoff. So again, if you are meeting people, make sure you have a safe journey to the ground and enjoy. And for those that obviously aren't there, like myself, I will be doing. We'll be doing obviously a watch along and in commentary as for every match going on. I'm still unsure whether we're going to be doing the girls' match. Because obviously commitments to other things. But I'll give you more information as we get it regarding that. So, what's your thoughts on the game then? Are you thinking that the squad that we suggested yesterday is going to be the squad to start, or have you changed your mind since you've had a chance to look at it?
well, as we said yesterday on the preview, the pattern over the past few years when we've had 2 days back to 2 games back to back has been to play 2 completely separate lineups.
Yeah.
It could be slightly different this time because we've got a situation where Anthony Gordon is coming in, Trips is coming in, and they haven't got any minutes in their legs, if you like.
No, that's right.
Pre-season. So I think with the exception of Trips and Gordon, we will see 2 separate teams. Now, which way he decides to do it? Is he going to go with a really strong team and a really weak team? Is he going to try and balance it, which could effectively make both teams weak?
Weak, absolutely.
Or, as I think I would do, I would probably give both Trips and Gordon 45 minutes today, and then start them tomorrow until they felt they'd done enough.
Yeah, I think the only biggest. I agree with you. I think they certainly need to be up to 45 minutes. The only problem is with doing that is obviously you get the issues with muscle pulls because you're warm and cold and then go warm again. You've
Right.
got a lot more tendency to have muscle strains by doing that because of the
Well, obviously,
obviously
in
the
that case, I would
tension.
bow to your superior medical knowledge. And so, if you were saying that wouldn't, I mean, I can remember back in the day we used to
Oh,
play
it's totally different, mate. I remember the day with the what was that stuff that we used to put on our legs that stunk, that white cream?
Raljecks,
No, Raljex, man, that was before that. I
deep.
was going to say deep. No. Liniment.
Oh,
That
liniment.
bloody liniment oil. It used to stink.
Yeah,
But
but
by
and by
God, it
all accounts, we
did
heard
nothing.
back in the day, it did absolute. There
Nothing.
was no
No.
scientific evidence at all for
Oh,
rubbing liniment on and it having any effects. And we
yeah,
used to
yeah.
do it religiously, didn't we?
Religiously. Yeah. I mean, God blimey, it used to just sting your eyes. Your eyes used to water for about half an
Uh,
hour before the
and,
well
and
during the
and then
game.
and then we'll learn many years later that it was doing
Rubbish.
absolutely no. You might as well have
Yeah,
rubbed
yeah.
water on.
Absolutely. But you'd see all these big guys doing it in the
Uh,
olden days, rubbing it into the legs. And by God, we used to suffer. And I always used to have a big patch of Vicks on me chest here,
well,
always here.
Vieira's trick, wasn't it? And everybody
I mean,
started copying that.
I mean, I'm a little bit older than Vieira, so I think it was probably slightly before his time. But
Uh,
I used to stick it in the inside of my nose just to
yeah.
clear me head. But yeah, it is weird the way it changes.
Well, here's
Um,
an old wives' trick. I mean, we're getting off topic here, but
yeah.
Vic, when you've got it, when you just feel like a cold or a flu coming on. And somebody told me this years ago, and I don't. It could be pure coincidence or whatever, but it works for me, and that again can be psychosomatic.
Mm,
If you think something works for you, it does work for
it
you,
does. Yeah.
and that's to put Vic on the bottom of your feet. But when you go to bed, Vic on the bottom of your feet and in your ears, and the number of times I've went to bed full of cold and woke up right as rain.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's weird,
Again,
isn't
no,
it?
no apparent reason why it should work, but it
Well,
definitely works for me.
they do say the soles of your feet. Now I'm no remedy person or holistic person, but they do say your soles of your feet are the gateway to your soul. And they are. There's a lot of people out there that believe by looking after your feet, you look after your body.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's one area that I don't tend to do very well. Um, but yeah, it is strange. But I looked at what we said yesterday about uh, the team that we put out, and I could see a definite weakness in the side in the middle of the park during the Brest game if we went ahead with that. So I can see potentially Willett coming in for Girona today, and maybe J7 dropping down to tomorrow's game, um, or Bruno even dropping down to
Yeah,
tomorrow's
but
game.
as we said, the one thing I wouldn't want to see is Willock with, let's say,
The
who could
kids.
we have in there? We had the team yesterday. We were talking about
Miley,
putting
Miley and Harrison we had down
putting Jamie
in the middle, didn't
Miley
we?
and Alex Harrison.
Yeah,
I don't think Willock could shepherd them sufficiently well.
yeah. That's what I said.
But
It
there
made the
again,
midfield look a bit weak.
it could be a chance for Jamie Miley to shine and
Absolutely,
come through.
absolutely.
And
He certainly didn't. I know. Like people were slating him about setting, not setting the world alight when it came to the games against Japan. But to be fair, I didn't think he had a bad game because, like I say, it was his first real time that I'd had chance to have a look at him with the first team. Um, Going forward. So I believe it's a chance for him to play at least some part today, and potential start tomorrow. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Now I did this. I saw this yesterday, and I was at, at the start. I was a little. What the heck is that all about? And this is literally all it was. It was just. Let me just start playing it. This. And I thought, what the heck is that? But having looked at it, it's a bit of a cryptic one. Obviously, away days on the train. Adidas, obviously, alongside the Toon badge. And I'm thinking, 13th, that must be significant. So I looked at
That's the
what that was.
Tuesday.
That's Tuesday. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck could that be? And then some clever clogs has come out. It's the release of the away kit, apparently. So I thought that was very cryptically done. And like I say, some clever clogs has obviously put two and two together on the train on the away days, and made it our away kit. Now that's at Newcastle United Football Club. I like I said, there's been nothing apart from that, and I think whoever's come up with that response is very good and very clever. So look out for the 13th to see what happens, because there's a chance that the hooped blue and red, if that's what you want to call it, is going to be on sale. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on the 13th. Just while we're on sponsors, guys, because I know when we were in Japan, there was a lot of talk about the sponsorship that was seen in. Let me just see if I've still got it, because then it makes a bit more sense when I pull it up on screen. Because everybody was saying that, and you'll probably understand it more when I show it you. As if I've still got it, because I may have got rid of it now, because it didn't really mean anything. No, I haven't. I've still got it. So I'm just going to stop it here, because obviously you can't. Oh, excuse me. Playing that in the background. I'm going to put this on the screen, and again, I probably won't play all of it. I shall probably just put it towards the end, because people were saying that this is going to be our shirt sponsor, or a training shirt sponsor. There was talk about it being the training ground sponsor. And I don't know whether anybody's seen that. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to, like I say, I'm not going to put it all on. I'm just going to put it, and I'm going to close that off, because I don't want any copyrights. But if I move this right to the end, now what people will see is the Savvy Group Games Group here. And the beauty of having Roy, our Persian friend who lives in Dubai, who obviously understands the language, this was the sponsor for the Japan tour. Full stop. It's got nothing to do with any kit. So if ever you see anything in on X or whatever, this has nothing to do with any of the kit sponsors or anything else. It was literally purely for the Japan tour. So again, just to clarify things, because the last
But
things
the only thing that does do, though, Gary, is tells us, they've obviously got a connection now with Savvy.
with Savvy, yeah, exactly.
So as and when sponsorship deals are, and just for those who may or may not know, Savvy are a gaming company.
Yeah.
Video games and all that sort of stuff in the Middle East. And, it's yet another potential sponsor to come on board.
Absolutely.
And it shows the global attraction of the Premier League to all of these international brands, because the coverage that the Premier League gets makes it very, very attractive. Who at all, and I'm not just talking about in Newcastle, because Salah is now known sort of countrywide. Who had heard of Salah before they came on board here? I'd certainly never heard of Savvy Group, and if they come on board, and so on and so forth. Noon, the shirt sponsor, the sleeve sponsors, I'd never heard of them. Heard AliExpress and all that. Never heard of Noon.
No,
But now everybody's heard of Noon.
that's right.
And so it just shows the exposure that you get by using the Premier League as an advertising vehicle.
I was just having a look on here because somebody was saying in the chat that there was extra sponsors. Now, again, just going on, I've got a picture of, but it doesn't really show you on there. During the press meeting yesterday with Eddie and Bruno, there was some conversation going on. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen because obviously you can see the new press area. There you go. I'll pop it on there because obviously it doesn't show you a great deal on here, but there was some people saying, I mean, to me, it looks so much more professional than our old place in that small room. And I'm just going to bring it up a little bit because they were saying somewhere, and I can't see where it is now, but there's some different names on the board now. I mean, obviously we've still got Fun 88, we've still got Noon, as Wins just said, we've still got Seller, but one of the news guys yesterday, one of the journalists, had seen that there was a couple of other different sponsors, and again, that has got nothing to do with us, nothing to do with kits. That is obviously we're playing Girona and we're playing Brest over the weekend, so that's their sponsors. It's not showing very much on here, so I don't know where the guys were seeing it, but there was a lot of people asking questions or coming to the conclusion that because they saw it in the press room that it was something to do with Newcastle and it was something to do with maybe a training shirt sponsor or again training ground sponsor. It's not. It's the seller. It's the Seller Cup, if you like, sponsor. And like I say, there's a lot of people that or a lot of sponsors coming with the opposition. So just wanted to clarify that before people put two and two together. But like I say, I do like the new press room. I think it looks very, very neat. It looks a lot more professional than the old place that they had.
And the
And
press pack themselves are very impressed with it.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether anybody's seen Keith Downey's little report when he was doing his little report in there, and he said, like, it feels so much better for the reporters as well as obviously the guys that are doing the press conference. So it's good. Before we move on to our next subject, is there anything in the chat, Win, that you've noticed that we need to?
I've stuck a few stars on there.
Okay, let's have a look then. So, I mean, we can say good morning to a few then while I'm setting up the next thing because it was I've got a little interesting piece from Sean Longstaff. It's verified by Keith Downing and various sources. If you can find a way to figure out X, then you wouldn't need to verify this one.
Well, and that,
Kenzie
now you're talking
12.
about X. Anybody can
Well,
put anything they want on X.
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, there's far too much
Oh, that's it.
out there.
You beat us to that one. What's
Yeah.
Simon saying?
I think he was referring to that. There is no confirmation on the price we offered or price we offered. What was rejected, that's all speculation. Well, like I
Yeah,
say, Keith
and
Downey yesterday said we'd only put one bid in. We may have put a bid in late last night. That was again rejected this morning, but again, with no forward sourcing on that. I haven't seen anything this morning, but I
Mr.
haven't really done
Optimism's
anything.
back in the chat.
Oh yeah, I know. Come on, Harmeet. A glass half full, lad. A glass half full. Um, so what's the next one? Terry. Well, morning, Terry. Definitely can't see us getting a right winger in, especially if we are paying 65 for Gay. Stuck with Miggy for another year. We don't know. I suppose you can say that we
Well,
don't know
I
what's going
can't
on
see us
behind the
getting a
scenes.
right winger in. I've got every faith that we will be getting a right winger in.
I agree with you. I think we need to look at a potential of doing some business somewhere along the line. Now, there could be a case of once we've used the 65 million, if that's what it takes to get Gay through the door, because he looks the favourite to come in now. If we do get Gay in, then do we then look to sell before we buy? And that's,
But
but I can't
I
see
don't
that
think we
either
need to
because we leave
sell.
ourselves short. Yeah,
I don't think we
we
need
leave
to sell.
ourselves short, don't we?
We can get Gay and a similarly priced, if not even more expensive, right winger without the need to sell anybody. Because what we're going to get for what we sell, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference. Really.
No, absolutely. Simon has put if we'd had Tonali, we didn't have last season, and the amount of injuries hampered us last year. Without those, we would have got top four, no bother. Yeah,
I agree
he's right.
wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. If we hadn't had the issues that we had last year, then absolutely we would have been at least top four. Howe doesn't rotate the squad much, though he didn't do that last season. We got fourth. They just got it done and was younger, to be fair. Well, like I say, it was difficult last season to rotate the squad because we didn't have anything to rotate with. And that's what we kept on saying.
That's the one thing I'm looking at Eddie to do this season. I want to see him use his substitutions and squad rotation much, much more than he's been able to do, really. Not willing to do. I think it's more able to do last season particularly.
Yeah. You know what I'm doing, or I'm doing. That sounds as if I'm already in the process of. What I've thought of doing was comparing the start of last year's team and having a look at what we have now in comparison. But I might do that closer towards the start of the of Saturday, next Saturday, like a week today. Sorry, a week tomorrow. Only because there could be comings and goings. Because people say to me, "We know further forward. We are a lot further forward when it comes to depth of squad and the quality within those depths." But until you see that, actually, I mean, we put that on the screen the other day, didn't we? When we saw, I put everybody in position, and the difference now. But I didn't take into consideration what we had last year, so I might do that just to do a comparison to see where we've come with Eddie Howe and his team. What else we got?
I'm in there.
Top four if we don't have any injury crises like last year. Less games, better bench, more chance to rotate the squad. Yeah. Like I said, you've got that depth in there as well now. Terry Bilton, if Byrne takes left back position, overhaul, I'll give my season ticket away. Well, I'll have it. I can't see it, mate. I can't see it. And the reasons why I can't see it now is because you've got another player coming that can play either position for injuries, i.e. Kelly. And why would you chance two players that have been exceptional at the end of last season and the start of this season in their natural positions? So for me, I think what Eddie's had to do with Byrne last year, obviously he's going off the back of the year where they were very successful and finished fourth with Dan Byrne at left back because obviously he had a better midfield to support him there. If you go back to it when everybody's fit and well and playing in their favoured position, and again I go back to Hall because Hall has admitted himself that he wasn't ready. He wasn't Eddie Howe ready to face the teams, and when he did play, he just wasn't up to what was required. And don't get me wrong, it's very difficult to play against the likes of Man City and come off on the winning side regardless of who you are. But he didn't have his best games against them. And this is what Eddie obviously wanted to see more from him. And again, you've got to take into consideration it's a young lad moving away from home, moving away from friends. It takes him a while mentally to set up in a different town. But now he looks settled. And we saw this last year, and we've saw it again pre-season. To me, if I was going to highlight one player that's really shone at the start of this season, I would say Lewis all day, every day. And I hope that continues because to me, I have already marked him down as the most improved player and will be probably the young player of the season for in my eyes as he started. That could change because we have got a couple of youngsters
And
on
I
board now.
would stick a couple in there, young players particularly, because I think Jamie Maley has
From what we've
impressed
seen,
me,
yeah,
and Zanussi in the fleeting glimpses that we've had.
yeah.
I think,
Well,
but strangely, he's listed on the Newcastle website, both him and Joe White, as carrying strains.
yeah. Well, I think he's still. You know
So,
when he had that knee jarring when we were in Japan.
yeah,
It wouldn't surprise me if he's got some soreness in the muscle from that jarring. Well, we know Joe White. Joe White's is it his back or his hip? I know one of them had some hip soreness, and I'm not sure whether that's something to do with the labral ligament. So, like a hyperextension of the labral ligament that runs down from the pelvis in the hip. Um, I haven't heard anything else apart from it being a hip injury, but it could be a bang. It could be a little bit of soreness. Um, but again, will he be chanced? Well, if he's got muscle
well,
issues, then no,
I mean, he hasn't featured at all pre-season, has he?
no. Joe
So,
White, yeah, no,
yeah.
nothing. He wasn't even taken over to Japan. So,
And
like I say, that's been
I've
longer.
put PDKs up there,
Yeah, yeah,
saying you can see all the related sponsors, but mainly just this in the Newcastle app,
yeah. The new one.
because there's now an official Newcastle United app which you can download onto your device of choice.
Yeah, yeah. So
And I
I'm
think
going to
this
clear.
again indicates what the Supremo that they brought in. I've just his mind's just name's just gone out of my mind. The
Who?
kid they brought in with all the airport
Basula.
experience and interactive customer
Oh,
supplier. Wasn't
no, no.
Simon Waller.
It'll come to me in a second.
And me.
Uh,
Anyway, it shows that all his IT knowledge is being
Brad Miller.
brought to bear, because what we've taken this long to get an app is
Yeah, yeah.
not the best, shall we say?
No, not at all. It is. It is what it is, isn't it? It's like I said. It's there was. I mean, I've had issues. There's been several complaints about going into the queue, if you like, for ballot tickets. And like I say, I've been kicked out 3 times looking for tickets from Southampton all the way through because I take that risk, and if I can take the risk and go, obviously I'm still caring for my partner at the moment, who is recovering. So I put myself in there just to see if I can get a ticket, because every game to me is it, there's never tomorrow in my eyes. If I can get one, if I can get a ticket, then I'll be up there in a shot because I'm sure I can count on my auntie and uncle could come and spend some time with my partner. But I don't. The way I look at it is, if I don't go for it, um, and afterwards I think, oh, maybe I should have, because there's every chance. It's like a 50-50, isn't it? So yes, I always want to put myself forward for these things, just in case there is a chance. But the other thing it gives me is it gives me some understanding of why there's so many complaints of our systems. I mean, there's still a lot of people out there that are complaining about the electronic ticketing system. Well, if you have a look at the
It's a
Premier
disgrace.
League ruling, um, I think it's season 26-27, every Premier League ground will have them tickets. It'll be electronic ticketing only. So that is the league rules, the Premier League rules, unfortunately. So we've jumped on board with this system now, and obviously there was a lot of teething issues. And there is still going to be teething issues because, like all electronic devices, and I've been to plenty of concerts in the past with electronic tickets in my wallet, and sometimes they don't work as good as you think. But then other people have no issues. Like my missus, me and my missus had the same ticket. I threw one in her wallet, one in my wallet in case we get separated at the last concert event that we went to. Her ticket, she was in front of me. She went through, no problem. My ticket failed. So it's like I said, it's never going to be as
So she got to
straightforward as
see
you think.
Mario Lanza and you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was Mario Lanza. My God, that brings back memories of my mum on a Sunday morning. People got bacon and eggs on a Sunday morning. We got bloody Mario Lanza. It was either that or AC/DC. She was so diverse. It was unreal. So
Eclectic,
leading
I
me
think
on
is
to
the word.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was certainly brought up on different music. I was. So the next thing I wanted to bring up is this one, which is, I suppose people are gonna see this in different light. I suppose, and there's always going to be some somebody's going to be questioning Sean Longstaff and his ability, and along with the three that he names is himself, Big Dan Byrne, and Miguel Almiron. And he made some comment, and I'll put it up here. I think sometimes me and Bernie, excuse me, especially when it's not going as well, I think we're sometimes easy targets. Probably Miggy Almiron as well, to be honest. He added, like I said, we just want to stick together as a group, whether it's good or bad, we try and stay as level as possible. We are not stupid. We sort of see a bit of it, but all we can do is stick together and try our best on the pitch. And obviously he's gone on to put down a couple of things because obviously we've linked them all together. Excuse me on here. But do you think he's got a point? And I mean, I said this before. I'm a critique, and I don't critique him for pointing a finger's sake or because his name's Sean Longstaff. I critique him because he's a Newcastle United player, as I do Popey, as I do Isaac, because like I say, I think sometimes Isaac can be let down by his touch. Because that's what we do, isn't it? As fans, as supporters of the club. But I do think, there's certain elements of the crowd where, they don't see the good points. They only ever see the bad points of all of these guys. Like we said, we've just had somebody in there
It's
say
gone on for
about Dan Burn.
years.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gone on as long as I've been going, and that's a long,
Well, there's
long
always going to
time.
be one, isn't there?
There's always somebody, and invariably it starts off because, of course, it's different now with social media. That's the
Yeah, yeah.
big difference now. But it would start off where one guy in a bar would say, wasn't Tommy Gibbs shite today? And sort of whoever says that first is generally the dominant, the alpha male, and so all of a sudden, yeah, Tommy Gibbs shit.
Yeah.
And then they go to another bar and say, "Isn't that Tommy Gibbs shit?" And the parrot what they'd heard the other guy say, and it used to spread like that, which is obviously nowhere near what social media spreads like these days.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happens is when you go to the match and you've got this one player who you've got a thing against, all you ever notice is the stuff that he does badly. You never notice the stuff that he does good.
Mm.
So it's human nature. It's just automatic that's the way we are. That's the way we're programmed. You like to have things that you like and things that you dislike. Now then, as I've got older, I try to kind of distance myself from that. And I try and be as objective as I possibly can. So with Sean in particular, I went through, I thought he was rubbish, not good enough. And I went through watching match after match after match when I was literally only watching him. I was looking to see what I could find that were his positive contributions to a game, what were his negative contributions.
Yeah.
And I found that the negatives were outnumbering the positives week after week after week. However, then he got injured. He went out. He was out the side, and when he wasn't in the side, we didn't get the same results. We didn't look the same team, and it's a case in point which it happens a lot in football, where a player improves significantly when he isn't playing. That all of a sudden, you kind of start thinking, oh, well, could I have been wrong? Could I have been wrong? And sure enough, Longstaff came back in the team and results started improving. I says, well, I must know nothing. I must be stupid. Because I can't see what he does, and yet when he's not in the team, we aren't as good a team. And about that time, Craig Hope was actually touting him for England. This was in the season when we finished fourth.
Mm.
Craig Hope was touting him for him, and he coined a new term which I'd never come across in football before. And he said, Sean Longstaff is possibly the best facilitator in the league. And by facilitator, what he meant was, although he doesn't do anything himself, he enables other people to do it. And I took that on board. I thought, what a brilliant expression that is.
Mm.
So I took that on board and I started watching him in a different light, and I still couldn't see it. I'll be honest, I still couldn't see it. Because for me, the only thing that Sean Longstaff has in my book, or his major asset, is that he gets into goal score. He comes in out of nowhere, a bit like Willock did when Willock had his purple patch. He would arrive in the box at exactly the right time, and bang, you would get a goal. Well, Sean does that all the time. He can be involved in a move, get in the box, but the trouble is, he doesn't finish enough of those opportunities. If he was finishing, the amount of opportunities that he should be finishing when he gets into those positions, he'd be getting double figures every season and probably 14 or 15. He'd be kind of Frank Lampardish. And if he was doing that, you could then forgive him the lack of tackles, lack of interceptions, lack of challenges, because that's what he would be on the pitch for. But when he isn't doing that sufficiently well, that's when you've got to start looking at the rest of his game and saying, da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And, went through that game. How can you go through 90 minutes without one? This is a Premiership midfielder, 90 minutes without one successful challenge.
Yeah. That's what I said.
If he scored a hat-trick that game, fantastic. But he didn't.
Yeah, but he's not a luxury player, is he? This is what I keep saying. He's not a luxury player. And
no, he's there to be a workhorse and to be effective. And again, I don't want to. I don't want to pick on him. It's not his fault that he's keep on getting picked. It's not his fault that allegedly he was having to play whilst unfit, because what's the best availability?
That's right.
Availability. And that's one thing you've got to take your hat off to him and say he's always available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose the other thing is, like I say, we saw the weakness in the squad, especially in midfield, because of all the injuries we had at the time. There was nobody to replace him, and that was the other thing. The lad was getting hounded because obviously he was always available, like you say, even though supposedly hampered by this injury, this so-called broken foot style of or type of injury. And yeah, it is what it is regarding these three. Um, but again, you know how people have turned around with Dan Burn since he's gone into his natural position. Now, again, Dan Burn doesn't ask to go and play on the left back. It's his manager who says to him, "Can you do us a job out there?"
Yeah,
And like I say, when we come fourth, there was very little noise. But as soon as we started to lose games, then obviously fingers will always be pointed at the person they see getting stripped every time. But they don't see why he's getting stripped every time. And that's because he's got no support from the midfield, because the midfield isn't the regular midfield, and so on and so on and so on. So I mean, I suppose we can make excuses all day long for the reasons why these guys get highlighted. And it's got nothing to do with them being Geordies, I'm telling you now. And that's the other thing that people say. Oh, the only reason these guys get slated is because they're Geordies. That is absolutely. I don't think that's nonsense. Um, they get slated because, unfortunately, sometimes, like I say, managers play players out of position, and if it's not your natural game, we all know Dan Burn isn't quick. So for him to be a fullback where you need some pace to get cover, you're not going to get there. But we've all seen a difference in him since he's been playing left centre back, which is his natural position. And as we've rightly said, and a lot of the chat also have said, he's been, if not man of the match, one of the men of the match in games last season when he's moved back into there.
You'll never ever beat Dan Burn. He's from Blyth. You'll never ever beat Dan Burn. He's from Blyth. He's from Blyth.
That scared the life out of me, straight into my ears. I'm like, what the heck? I've got to watch that back because I think my face was an absolute picture. I wasn't expecting that at all. Thanks for that. He's and that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes you've got to you have got to have criticism because I think the lads know that they've had a good game or a bad game when they're playing. But it's that continuity, isn't it, of having a poor game after poor game after
it's
poor
just
game.
people are just so quick to jump on a bandwagon, and it doesn't sit well with me, to be honest.
See, I've often said, I mean, having watched Miggy for some seasons now, Miggy was never going to be the person who was going to take you to that next level. He filled a gap. He's a workhorse. He does a job for you.
Yeah.
And when he had that purple patch, I think everybody expected that to continue. And I think that was another thing. Why can he produce that in one-off seasons and not have continuity? I also think he's a type of personality that breeds from confidence. And I think when he's not the type of player to go on there like Bruno does. So Bruno can actually pick you up and drive you forward. Hence, that's why he's now been brought into the leader group as a potential captain for the future. If Almiron had that type of drive and passion, I mean, you would see a different part of him. But he's only effective, and I know this sounds really crazy. If you go back and have a look at Almiron's games and look at how he's been effective in certain parts, it's when the other group around him, all the other Newcastle players, have stepped up their game. And we saw his finish against PSG, where he obviously ran to the save and slotted the ball into the far corner. That got us going. He was a total different player. And he was involved in a lot of the moves. Everything seemed to stick to feet. And again, like I say, to me, he's the type of player to actually fill in with the rest of the group rather than the person that's going to drive the group forward. He's a different type of player altogether. And like I say, unfortunately, I do feel as though he's probably reached his level and surpassed it now, and potentially does need to look elsewhere. But again, who's going to buy? Who's going to buy him? And like I say, unless he goes to
And that,
back
you
to
see, that's the
MSL
key. That's the key for me.
or MLS, I should
If
say.
Longstaff was this good player that I can't see,
Yeah,
why does nobody want to buy him? Same with Miggy.
well, obviously with
Why are there not offers on the table for Miggy? I tell you what it is. If Dan Burn was available, we would get at least one money back for him.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, you can argue Miggy doesn't want to go, and if he doesn't want to go, there's nothing you can do about that. But Longstaff, we heard rumours a bit since that Leeds and Leicester were both after him. Is it because Eddie doesn't want to sell him? Does Eddie say something? There was a comment in the chat before about McMartin, Zico.
Yeah.
And he says he got the nickname Zico when he was having a mare. I don't think that's right. I think Mick Martin was one of the very players I was talking about when I was saying they become better players when they're not playing, because that was what happened to him. We were having a canny season, and he was, if you like, the weak link in the team. He got injured, and he was injured for about 4 or 5 weeks, and in that 4 or 5 weeks, we barely won a game. And suddenly everybody realised the work that Zico was doing, and probably on the game you were talking about when he came back, even though he didn't have a very good game himself, everybody was quite shouting, Zico Martin, Zico Martin. So that was a kind of a case in point.
Yeah. So, I'm just highlighting some questions, guys, just to take us forward. It was Zanussi gets some minutes over the weekend with noise from the cathedral on the hill behind him. Well, like I say, I do as well, but like I say, he's not really seen him or anybody's mentioned him in training since he had that jarring. And as Wins just said there, he may not potentially get involved this weekend if he has got any signs of any muscle injury.
Like I said, that was the official club statement, Zanussi and Joe White, which I'd never seen before.
Yeah. Right, let's just have a quick run down here, and then I can. So, I'm just going to put this one on. Steve, NUFC. Longstaff is absolutely useless. I don't even think he knows where he is when he actually gets into goal scoring positions. Probably ends up there by mistake. And then Trolls. Miggy and Longstaff should max be squad players because they aren't good enough anymore.
They're certainly not good enough to take us where we want to
take us forward. Yeah, exactly. So let's start. I just thought that was interesting from a player's point of view, because I've often said, players aren't stupid now with all the social media out there. They do have a look at what people put down, and if I was, I suppose you could say I've had some tricky situations, and in my career, when you make a mistake, it's obviously sometimes it can be devastating. And would I say I'm always as effective on every single day? When I used to work with a guy. I'm not going to mention any names, but there was certain individuals that would potentially, we've all got a way of working. Let's put it that way. So I would never dictate to somebody. I'm left-handed, naturally left-handed. So I used to place some of my tools of the trade down on my trays differently to anybody else. That was my style. But when I was training, I would never say to them, you must do it my way, because I feel comfortable that way. Because if they did it my way, being left-handed and they're right-handed, it would feel really alien to them. So I'd always try and make it so it suited their style of play. I'm not saying this has got anything to do with football, so don't come at me. All I'm saying to you is there's certain people that I could work with and have a really good day with, and there's certain people I could work with and have a really shocking day with. And I think that happens. sometimes confidence can be affected by what people say. It can be affected by the crowd. It can be affected by, you know, individual performances. It can either make you or break you sometimes. And I think at this present moment in time, as Wynn's just said, unfortunately, there comes a point in anybody's career where you've reached your peak and the team around you just carries on to walk up that hill and you can't do it anymore, you know. And I think, like I say, what we've got now is we're certainly seeing signs of Miggy struggling over the last season and obviously previously. And is Longstaff coming to that time where is he starting to struggle now with the pace of the game around him? Is he more of a lower league Premiership player? Going into like an Ipswich or Southampton, say, would he shine more in those type of areas? We would never know. And like you said, you know, who would buy them? And that's the problem. Let's have a quick look at some of the ones that we've starred. To be fair, Lungi did score 8 goals, but what did he do in the position he was meant to play in? And that's the question. And I think that's it, isn't it? You know,
Yep.
goals are, you know, we all said if we hadn't have had those 8 goals, where would we be in the league position wise? Now this year, 7th didn't get us conference, but it's the only season it hasn't. And again, that's just typical our luck, isn't it? Newcastle luck, because we just didn't expect Man U to turn over Man City. And David T says, don't forget they are all well-paid professionals. Criticism is part of the job. As long as it's not vitriol, then as fans we are allowed to critique. And that's exactly right. None of us
Absolutely, and
should
that's
be.
what this channel is all about.
It's all about. Yeah, exactly. Not, you know, we're not here to throw stones. We don't cast stones. But as long as you've got a reason, a rationale for your response, you know, at the end of the day, all we do is question, and it's up to you guys to give answers. Really, it's the beauty of this channel is it's very much a combined channel for the audience, and we want your participation in the chat that we do. Toon Talk has put down Longstaff reminds me of Jordan Henderson at Liverpool. You don't know what he does, but he is effective. I think I would rather have Jordan Henderson.
There's lots of people said the same thing. As I say, when I was shaking my head and wondering what it was, I'm there, you know, I must be wrong. I must know note. But to me, he marks the centre circle in the referee.
Yeah. Everybody's got the same vein. He may have scored 8 goals, but he was at fault for conceding many, including 2 against Luton.
Yeah.
And he was also at fault for obviously not tracking back against the Japan.
Yeah. When J7 was missing last season,
yeah, it was obvious, wasn't it?
It was like a knife through butter going through our midfield. Bruno was just he was a one-man band.
Thralls again. Lungi doesn't tackle, run back, pass well. So, how is Lungi effective? Not personal, by the way.
No, I agree.
You know, I like I said, we've all got opinions of this guy. It just seems as if there's a majority of the opinion saying he's at fault for most things that happens. And like I said, you know, the midfield is the most important part, in my opinion. And like I say, I haven't played at professional level, but I have coached at a good level and managed at a good level. And I could honestly, hand on heart, say if I'd lost 2 of my kingpin, I mean, obviously back in the days when I was managing, it was mainly 4-4-2. Sometimes I used to go to a 3-4-3. Depending on who I was playing, and obviously how much I needed the win. But you do seriously lose a lot of the game in midfield, and win games in midfield because it's the opening doors and it's the closing of doors. So if you haven't got that secure enough, and like I say, we saw that last year, we gave away so many goals from that midfield, from literally a ball over the top, which should be dealt with absolutely easily at this level. I think it's certainly something that we need to be a little bit more sure of this year. I'm not going to criticise Miggy or Longstaff. They've done a job. for us, but we do need the upgrades now to improve the team. And that's
Spot
absolutely right,
on. The
Ian.
voice of reason, Mr.
Yeah,
Fleming.
absolutely spot on, matey. That is exactly how I see them. You know, they are there to do. They make up the numbers. If you haven't got the ability, because of one reason or the other, to replace them, who can you use? And like I said, we can't always throw the kids into that situation and expect them to tear up trees. I thought Miley did really well, but again, until when he got injured, it was like, okay, well, who else did you do? Who else could you bring in? We tried several. It didn't work.
There
Joe
was
White
nobody.
was ineffective. Yeah, totally ineffective. So you have to
saying
take
to
it
him,
for what
thank
it
you
is.
very much for what you've done, but time's up and we need to progress.
We need to go on, exactly.
Spot on.
And that's exactly where we are. So
Right.
that was one of the things. The other thing I was going to show, because obviously I mentioned this a few weeks ago about people doing stadium tours. And about going obviously into the home dressing room would be out of bounds because they're making it very pretty. And they have
In
made it
fact,
very pretty.
our very own Paul was doing the stadium tour yesterday.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed in the home dressing room.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, here we go. So this
Because
is
they were still doing it.
Still finishing it. Just close that off in case we get slapped. I mean, I must admit, it looks very nice. It looks very, very nice. I did see a meme of the away dressing room, which I was going to put up on the screen because it made me titter this morning. And it was literally like my school changing rooms, which was fantastic. But no, I mean, I like I say, I think the club has grown so much over the last couple of seasons. Well, since the takeover, I think a lot of the stuff behind the scenes is amazing. Now, I don't know how true this is. So again, I'm not gonna sit here and say this is fact because I haven't really had chance this morning to make much inroads into this. But what I had seen was there was somebody out there claiming that once the Mark Gahey signing was done and dusted, we would be going in for this lad, Reece James. Not Reece James, Reece Nelson. From Arsenal.
No.
Which, again, I can't. I can because obviously I'm still thinking that Kieran Trippier isn't happy. I still feel as though there's a potential for Kieran Trippier to leave. I did read an article which ticks some of the questions that I had in my head. And if you remember, I'll go back to a couple episodes with me and Win on the Breakfast Show talking about the meeting that he's supposed to have had with this El Etifak guy. And then it come out that it was just a friendship meeting, like a meeting group, and they were catching up on old times. I've recently read that they couldn't come to an agreement on the sale of Trippier. And again, I hadn't said anything previously because I just don't know how true that is. And it's the same as this guy. Why would we be linked with him if there's nothing behind it? And again,
well,
this is on
I mean, that
Dean
to me is a
James.
backward step if we are.
Yeah, I mean, just going and having a quick look at him, if you like. Doesn't give us.
Arsenal gave him a new contract.
When?
Last season.
Oh, right. So he's under a new agreement.
Yeah, and if you listen to all the, it was him and Eddie and Tekia.
Yeah.
In particular, who got new contracts on $100,000 a week. and the Arsenal channels, Lee Gunner and Potsy, they were saying, what the hell are we doing given these, these need clear now. They are Arsenal's Longstaff and Miggy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
can
they were
see that.
flabbergasted that they'd been given new contracts.
Because obviously he plays left wing and right wing, but I've not really seen him involved in anything recently at the Arsenal. And like you rightly just said there, if these are the deadwood that they're getting rid of, should we be giving them the time at the club?
Absolutely not, in my opinion. There you go.
Yeah, so that's one to watch, guys, because like I say, when people say no, because we're throwing out the money at Gahey, if we obviously if that does continue to thrive and we do get him, does it mean that we've got to take a hit regarding the type of standard of player on the right wing? For
Probably
me,
not.
when you look at these 10 to 15 million pound players, are they just going to come in here just to fill the squad in numbers? Because it certainly isn't going to fill the squad in quality. So for me, this would be something that I would stay well away from. But it's something that I read this morning very quickly. Hadn't really had the chance to dig any deeper to see the relevance behind it. But it's certainly something that's out there. And like I said, we have made some.
But because somebody's put it on X.
Well, like I said, when I saw the Oddie thing, when I saw, I mean, my mate told me about Ruddy potentially coming this way because there was contacts. Everybody laughed it down.
Yeah, well, that I tell you what, we were definitely the first to come up with Ruddy.
Well, that's what I said to you. I'd got that from the lad who
that was ITK.
that was ITK. Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I said. Sometimes somebody just throws something out there and you question it and you think, well, how true is that? And I laughed at it. I really did laugh at it. Ruddy coming to Newcastle? No way. And he said that it was us contacting them, not the other way around. Because obviously he's got this personality where he can gel the players together in the dressing room and everything else. And because we'd lost Dummett, he wanted that player again. But by all accounts, yesterday Dummett's still at the ground training. So obviously he's still with the lads, but obviously he's still looking to for a career move. I can't see him ever getting an extension on his contract, put it that way. What else have we got starred?
Well, we've got Davey there saying Palace will realise that we will not be held to ransom, and I agree with her.
Yeah, but Palace ain't in need of money, mate. That's the thing.
But nonetheless, I'm telling you, if Newcastle don't think he's worth 65 million, they'll walk away.
Yeah. I think sometimes you have to make that decision, that conscious decision, don't you? You have to make that conscious decision about what money you're going to do. And for me, if they realise that Palace are going to dig their heels in and look for 65 plus more money, then surely we have got to either make a decision of, do we go somewhere else, go and get Malik Chow for 40 million, say, or do we just say, you know what, we've got the money, let's pay for it because we want him in the squad? Because tomorrow he plays in a friendly for Crystal Palace. He's in there. It's in their lineup. So, like I said, if he gets bloody injured, that's it, isn't it? Mind saying that, you could say he could do the same for us, couldn't he? So DX has put in the chat. Sorry, what's this? What's Davey T put? If Sean comes out this season refreshed, full of confidence, playing well, then the fans will gladly eat humble pie and embrace him. Me for one.
And me,
like I said,
that's nothing. There's nothing would please me more than for that to happen.
Yeah.
Sadly,
he wears black and white. I mean, that's how I look at it.
Sadly, the chances of it happening, I think, are, as I said once before, those chances are somewhere between me getting a date with Miss World and Sunderland winning the Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't say it can't happen. And that's the difference, isn't it? When we look at it. So I'm just going to stop that because obviously I wanted to play that in a second. I'm just going to go back to some of the questions up here that we've got. Broski, mighty question for you. What money would someone have to pay you to wear a Sunderland kit?
Well, I can tell you a kind of a story like that. When we played Bilbao in the UEFA Cup many years ago, Bilbao playing red and white stripes.
Hold on.
Anybody who was there...
When. Can you go and get your guitar? And I want you to put your little jacket on. Because you're going to tell us a story now, aren't you? And I'm just going to strum in the background. I'm going to tell you a story. Just rocking my chair while Win tells this. And unfortunately, I'm gonna light a tab up, so I hope I don't upset anybody.
All right. And anybody who was at Bilbao for that match will tell you it is the greatest away trip that Newcastle have ever had. I could do a whole show. In fact, I might do a whole show on it.
Yeah.
But suffice to say that there were all of the Bilbao fans were wanting us to swap shirts. Now, the actual shirt that I had on when I went there was the Royal Blue McEwen's Lager away top.
Yeah.
And no way was I going to swap me, my strip for a red and white striped shirt. However, by 4 o'clock in the morning, my resistance was finally worn down, and I swapped it. So I put this red and white striped top on. And by the way, by that time, every Newcastle fan just about had red and white tops on. You couldn't tell who was Bilbao and who was British.
Who wasn't?
In all the bars and things. So we're all back at the airport the next morning. It was a Keith Barrett flight, to and travel, and everybody was wearing their red and white tops. Now, we were playing Sheffield Wednesday in the following fixture, I'm sure. And we said, this is all on the plane. Wouldn't it be great, because obviously Sheffield United playing red and white, wouldn't it be great if we all went to the match in our red and white Bilbao tops? Just to piss off the Sheffield Wednesday supporters. So, yeah, that's a great idea. So we all agreed. Everybody's going to the match on Saturday with our red and white tops on. Including, by the way, at the time, there was about half a dozen kids who sat within 20 yards of me in the East Stand, who were all there. And so I thought, right, yeah, definitely, I'm up for it. So it was a lovely sunny day. All I've got, the dog's abuse I took on the bus going to the match, and walking to the bar, standing in the bar, walking from the bar to the ground. And I'm looking around to see any other red and white tops. And I'm saying everywhere, it's fucking Bilbao, man, it's fucking Bilbao, it's not Sunderland. Anyway, gets into to me seat in the ground. There's all the lads who were on the plane, who all agreed to wear red and white stripes. Not one of them had the red and white stripes on. Not one. So I'm there. I was the only one that wore. I did look around the ground. There was one or two other ones. But in my section, all the kids who said they were going to wear red and white stripes didn't. Chickened out. Apart from the mighty Win. The mighty Win kept to his promise and wore the red and white stripe. So that's you're saying, would I wear a Sunderland top? Not a chance.
No.
Although you're saying for what money, everybody's got a price.
Absolutely. I still couldn't give you a price though. It'd be difficult.
Oh, it'd be very difficult. I'm not expensive.
Well, we know that. Good question, though. I quite like some of these.
Mm.
Kenzie, Downey, Romano, Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, and a whole host of publications break on X win. It's what Sky Sports News used to be. Oh, we've seen that one, haven't we? Question for win: NUFC second and win League Cup, with Sunderland winning the Premier League, or NUFC 16th and no cup, and Sunderland 17th. I'd go with the silverware.
If this hypothetical moment
in time,
in unbelievable land, whenever that may be, if Newcastle at that stage have still not won a domestic trophy, I'll take Newcastle winning the League Cup and Sunderland winning the Premier League.
Yeah.
I want to win something.
Silverware.
I just want to win something.
Absolutely. Trouble, you can't stop at what the opposition does, and look at the likes of Leicester.
This was the big argument that went on last season, which is more important, winning the League Cup or getting into the Champions League. Now, for all of the sensible reasons and financial reasons and blah, 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 obviously Champions League qualification this day and age is paramount.
Yeah.
But Newcastle are not in the privileged position of having won umpteen trophies. Let's win a trophy. Because until you win something, you don't get that winner's mentality.
That's right.
It's the first
always
one
going to be
the
also run, isn't
one.
it? Yeah, that's right.
I'm sick of being the bridesmaid. I want to be the bride.
You want to be the bride. If we don't sign anyone this season, does the transfer budget gets carried over to next season?
Well, yeah.
Bear
in mind we've got January as well.
You can say we've got the January window, and that's what I said. If nothing happens regarding the right wing or even say centre back, but one of them will be filled. I think Gahey will be there, but I think it's going to be a long-winded contest. It'll be jab first, and then whoever throws the knockout punch. But like I say,
it's two blinks first. Now the only problem about that is that it might take until the day before the window, let's say, before Crystal Palace realise, look, they're not going to pay any more. Do we want this 50 mil or do we not?
But that's what I said. They're not really desperate for the money, are they?
Which wouldn't be great for us, but it wouldn't be too bad because Shearer's, unless Shearer were to get injured in the first couple of games, it wouldn't be a problem.
If the rumours are right, then they're obviously thinking about the deal because obviously they've been out there and inquired about Lacroix. So if they wouldn't have gone out looking for another centre back, I suppose they could still go out looking for the centre back. But it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, whether they've done that because of the chances of Gahey going. But yeah, the money can obviously then be spent in January, and obviously you then get the add-ons for whatever you've gained throughout the season. Mighty Win, the best football commentator on YouTube. I did not watch the debate yesterday because I find Mighty the star of the channel.
No, there's no stars on this channel. Just tune lovers.
You're just everywhere, lad. Bronski, Mighty, what was your favourite Newcastle shirt of the ones this season, and will you go to at James this season?
I will be wearing my brand new shirt today.
Yeah. The brand new
the Adidas home one.
The Adidas one.
Adidas home one.
Yeah. I think that will be out there on display. But just for anybody that's unsure of the colours this year, there you go.
That one there.
There you go. So I can't wait to see the release of the hoops. If that is the 13th, I think that'll be an amazing shirt. Brings back lots of lovely memories. I've still got the original, and that's still in a cellophane wrapper. along with a couple of my other ones that I unfortunately don't fit anymore. I think that one might fit, but be very tight. There's very few of my old original ones that are up in the loft in the cellophane wrapper that fit me these days. Unfortunately, I'm getting shorter and wider rather than taller. According to my weight, I should be 6'8". But that's a different question altogether. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think I think there's going to be some. It's going to be black and white mainly today out in the and potentially some of the white ones, because I think there's a lot of love towards that white shirt. Again, going back on the nostalgic look, isn't it?
I
So
do
I
like
think
the white one, to be honest.
yeah, I do. I'm having a look. So Davey T's put, I did a stadium tour in the bad old days and the FCB, and the press room was like the canteen from the 70s. Yeah, they've certainly upgraded everything, I must admit. DX, question for Gary. If we come seventh again, but get Conference League this time, is that curtains for Eddie? No, I don't think it is. I'll go on with this thing about a lot of it will be obviously how he goes with the cup competitions as well, because obviously you've not mentioned that. I think it's going to be the whole season. If Eddie finishes seventh, and we have got guaranteed Europe, I think that would get him out of jail again this year. And I think people have got to take into consideration at this present moment in time, we are still a squad building rather than a squad finalised. So there'll be certainly questions. There'll be questions about whether he is going to be the lad. I mean, obviously this was the debate yesterday. Is he the lad that's going to take us to those heights? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And like I say, at this present moment in time, we are still unfortunately shackled by PSR. And as much as people say we're the richest club and all that, there is still there's still certain ceilings that we can only reach at each transfer window. And the last thing I want to see is to see us what happened in June again, come next June. So I think we have to be very careful. But I don't think Eddie would get the sack this season if he finished seventh. But it does depend on what happens in the cup competitions to back that up. But again, it's got to be guaranteed conference. If it was like this year and we finish seventh and somebody else nips us to the conference because they've won
I think
the
it
cup.
very much depends on if you said we're finished seventh. If we're finished seventh and we're only 2 points behind third,
yeah, depends.
That would be difference between finishing seventh,
15
points
points.
off the Champions League. I've already said, I'm on record now saying, if with the start of the season that we've got, if we are not within 3 points of Champions League at Christmas, I'll be shouting for Eddie's head. Unless there are other circumstances yet to unfold that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But because I think even without any signings at all, the squad that we had last season, fit and available, would have been good enough to finish Champions League. And so if we don't, then I will start it. Right now, I am 1,000% behind Eddie. I think nobody could have done the job that Eddie's done so far. There's none. You can talk about Pep, you can talk about who, not one of them could have inherited that shitty squad that he inherited and turned it into what it is now. One of Roy's points in the debate yesterday was that Eddie did nothing until the January window, and then we started spending money, and he argued sort of that Bruce would have done the same if he'd had that money to spend and those reinforcements had been brought in. What people fail to realise, or what Roy didn't realise and what Colin didn't pull him up on actually, was the fact that when Eddie took over, he inherited a squad that wasn't fit. And it took 4 or 5 weeks for him to get that squad up to Eddie fitness. regardless of the players that were brought in, Trips obviously was a fantastic signing. Dan Byrne did a great job for us. Target came in, and who else did we get? Bruno. But again, Bruno didn't figure at all when he first came. He had to get up to Eddie fitness, and with so fantastic 10-minute cameo against Everton, and then he played a little bit more and a little bit more, and he didn't really get involved until the very end of the season. But I don't think any of your so-called elite managers could have come in and taken over that squad and got them to Champions League within 18 months. Even having spent, as Roy pointed out, 400 million. 400 million compared to what everybody else was spending was washers. So I am still 1,000% behind Eddie. And what I want him to see, what I want him to do, and he's an intelligent man. He learns things, and he will have realised that some of the things he did last season, in particular, maybe his over loyalty for certain players, he might realise I've got to be a bit more ruthless here. But in particular, substitution, squad rotation, that sort of thing. And I think the man is intelligent enough to take all that on board, bring it on board, and I think we're going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah. I agree. I think, like I say, everything just feels very negative at the moment, and I don't understand why we are very negative at the minute. Because obviously, I feel as though we've got I wouldn't say better squad, but because obviously we've got a fuller squad now, and we've obviously not at this present moment in time we have got players back that still need a little bit of fitness, still need a little bit of togetherness, but we often don't see the best of Newcastle until probably 2 or 3 games into the season. We've always been a little bit on the. I mean, last year, obviously against Aston Villa, we all thought we were just going to fly, because that was a display and a half against Aston Villa. But it's not. I don't think we can be. We can be negative.
Yeah, but bear in mind that Aston Villa game, we had the full squad. Barnes came on, we had Tonali there, GS7 was firing.
Yeah, and then obviously it started to tail off a little bit, didn't it? Afterwards, but we did have a really, really hard start to the season last year.
And the other thing, the fixtures last season were just horrendous compared to this season.
Compared to this season, that's what you keep saying. We should have a flyer this year. And that's with the squad we've got. And that's without the introduction of Gahey or another right winger. There is no excuse not to be able to go out there and actually perform over the first at least 4 or 5 fixtures, and get results, because, it's up to us. And the only thing that could stop that is if there's a little bit of, issues with certain individuals. Like I say, if one of the lads gets injured this weekend, and that's what we've got to think of, And the other thing is we've got a brand new player in a way, with Tonali coming back in September. So that's what I'm looking forward to, because I've actually put Tonali down to be player of the season this year. I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think he's the type of player that could go out there and the likes of Bruno and hit the ground running when he comes back. Because to me now he comes back with a clear slate. And I think that will support
like I say, I don't follow a lot of Serie A, to be honest. But all I know is the reception that Tonali got in the San Siro when we played there, when he came on, black and white shirt, the reception that he got from the Milan crowd just proved he must have been some player for them.
Oh, yeah. I saw him a couple of times. I didn't watch, like I say, I don't watch lots of European football because it's not my cup of tea. But I do follow, say, a couple of games if they look really interesting, especially if it's 2 top versus second or something like that. I'll often have a quick gander at, and like I say, without looking at him individually, he did look a player and a half. Beers put when we had Miggy and Longstaff, we tried Longstaff on the left, and he was useless. So we had to play Miley there, who adapted. Again, it's funny how certain players can't move, and we said this about like Gahey playing that left centre back role, even though he's right-footed, where he's more of an adaptive player compared to other players. And I know you've got your doubts over that because obviously you love your heat maps. Matt Fletcher, defence is always more important than midfield and attack. Get your defence right and everything else follows. And not always the way.
Every great team has been built from the back.
Yeah. But that's like saying every goalkeeper is only as good as his defender. And that's another old saying.
Well, that's true as well.
And that's what I said. Every wall that you have in front of the ball is defence. And that's why I said, if you can get your midfield right, it not only unlocks their defence, as in the opposition defence, it can also block the ball from getting anywhere near your defence. So every area, and that's why we sometimes drop to a 4-5-1 in the mid to low block, because you're defending from your forwards when we do the high press. And then obviously we fall back once the ball has moved on. And that's what I said. Your midfield is as good as your forwards. Your defence is as good as your midfield. Your goalkeeper is as good as your defence. It depends on where the ball is in that progression. So you can make an excuse up for every position, but they all have to follow a line. Niles put down a question: would you take Kingsley Common on loan? Might be worth a punt, but he has got a bad injury record. Would he? I don't know. Yes, I probably would if he was to come on loan and we got away with paying only part of his wages. But he has, like I say, it would get us out of some issues, but it's whether he would last. That's the only question. And that was like Chiesa. Like I say, we all know he's Santa Claus because obviously he disappears in December. So it'd be interesting to find whether that actually makes away. But yeah, I suppose I would if we covered most of his wages. I'll meet West Ham, Fulkrug, Somerville, Kilman, Todibo. Now the Real Betis player, but everyone is happy with Kelly and Asula. Yeah, making more sense. Well, to be fair, yes, they've made West Ham have made some significant signings, but none of them signings actually tear up any trees. They're just squad players, aren't they? Again,
no, so I think Somerville is a great player, but he's a left winger. I don't think we don't need a left winger.
But I also don't think he's a Premiership left winger. I mean,
I don't know. If you get player of the season, he made team of the season Championship, and I think that's always a good guide for to get into that Championship team of the season. You've got to be doing something right, doing a lot right.
Yeah. But like I say,
if we'd been looking for a left winger, I would have been over the moon to get Somerville.
It'll be interesting to see what he does this year. Like I say, it'll be a hard hit for him, I think. But there's no mistaking that West Ham have done some good business there.
Yeah.
Because they've strengthened the squad.
I put West Ham there, along with us and Villa, as the three most likely to challenge the Toxic Six.
Yeah. Niles put in, if we get Gay and say Coleman or someone to the standard at right wing, but I honestly think if he does not make Champions League, I think he's gone.
I kind of go along with that. It depends on if he was to get Europe in a cup, that would certainly get him out of jail. But if we miss out on Champions League by kind of more than 4 or 5 points, let's say, then I think he's on thin ice.
Yeah. Beers put in here that I haven't seen this one, to be fair. Apparently Newcastle have made an inquiry over Al Ittihad's defender Louis Philippe. Not seen that anyway this morning. So thanks, Beer. I will have a investigate on that and I'll get back to you later on today.
And Al Ittihad, I think they are the one big Arabian club that isn't PIF owned.
I don't think it is.
If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's one of the big clubs, if you like, in Saudi who are not PIF owned.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be any conflict of interest there.
Let's have a quick look.
Meanwhile, we've got Niall saying exactly what I say, that if you don't get first team players ready to walk in, spend your money on first team ready players who are going to go straight in that team and relegate the players that are already there to the bench. And then you're strengthening your bench automatically. Trull says 100% Niall. And this is very interesting, Niall. Very interesting question. Do we think Bruno will be on-field captain this season? Now, that depends on a few things, in my opinion. I think if Dan Burns on the park, he'll be captain. But is Dan Burn going to be starting every game? Because you should have a captain who's going to be starting every game. Okay, last season we didn't with Lascelles, but that was for a variety of other reasons. We all know Trips was effectively captain.
Yeah.
Would Bruno thrive on the captaincy, or would it detract from his game?
Well, he's been a captain everywhere else.
I think he's been a captain everywhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So
that's why they said.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's captained. I'm not sure whether he on the last club, but I know he's been a captain in his previous clubs, and that's why they said, because of his drive on the park. Even Dan Burns said, having Bruno being the captain and having Bruno, that's that second in command, if you like. He's the one that instigates a lot of the movement up front. Well, obviously Dan Burns tries to construct from the defensive areas going forward. And he said, in the dressing room, he seems to be a commander. He seems to be the one that seems to go around all the players, geeing them up all of the time. And I think he's got that personality, hasn't he? He's very, like you said, he's a very positive type of player. Very rarely do you see him sullen. And I mean, you saw how devastated he was at the end of last year, and because everybody saw him crying because he hadn't achieved what he wanted to achieve with the club. And obviously everybody saw that as a negative, and he was going to leave the club. And it was total opposite. It's just his drive. It's just his pure. He's one of them personalities that wants the best for himself as well as his teammates. So I
just worry that it might take a bit out of his game.
Well, Lloyd Kelly had that issue, didn't he, at Bournemouth when he was made captain?
And the Bournemouth fans keep on going on about that.
Yeah.
When he was made captain, he lost his form.
That's right, and it does affect your game. It's like I said, either picks you up or it puts you down, because like I say, your concentration levels go elsewhere. But like I say, I do think it's going to be good for the team, because obviously at the minute we've lost Lascelles as the club captain, because obviously he's still coming back from injury. So somebody else has to take up the mantle, if you like, and drive forward with the group. You can't always rely on just one person or one or two people. A full season with Barnes, Pope, Tonali already makes us stronger than last season. Looking forward to a good season, Alan. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think you're absolutely bang on.
And of course, Kelly and...
That's what I said. Even though they're not starters or they're not going to be starters, what you've actually got now is a better bench than you did last year. And that's why I wanted to try and have a look at what we had this year compared to last year and who's moved. Because obviously now we've lost Richie and Dummett, which was our bench players. Now, if you're saying to me that Dummett is better than Kelly, then there's going to be a question, isn't there? You know, because obviously I'd look at Kelly every day as being
Depends
a
what
superior
shape
player.
the ring is.
Yeah, WWE. Brilliant. But I mean, like I say, I haven't got much more to go on, if I'm honest.
No, I think we're right. As I say,
Obviously,
anybody going to match today will all be in Aspers, Freya's Board Aspers, the £4 pint, and
yeah.
we'll be there from 5 till 7.
So what I was going to finish on is obviously the club have put out a nice little thing with Asula. I was just going to share because obviously he comes across very well. He's very positive, and like I say, I think this lad could be one for the
I think he could be a
future.
hidden gem.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
I was
saying
surprised.
I'm saying I think he can. I'm just hoping he can,
Hoping he
because
can. Yeah,
there isn't any proper evidence that I've seen to suggest that he will. But all I know is the scouting staff that we have won't have signed him for no reason. So
no,
and
absolutely.
it's not much of a gamble at 10 mil, is it?
No, not at all. But again, I'm not going to put the sound on because obviously there's music playing in the background, so for copyright reasons. But there is subtitles, so you can see what he's saying from there. And like I say, he comes across really well. You know, he was talking about him and his playing days in Copenhagen, and his style, that the way he expresses himself was very quick. He drives at the ball. And like I say, I was surprised with him when it comes down to Eddie Howe saying about it was like Jason Tyndall that brought his name forward rather than Mitchell, which is we all thought was going to be the way forward. Because we all thought with his age and everything else, he was going to be a Paul Mitchell signing, but I was really shocked to see it being an Eddie Howe and a Jason Tyndall signing from 3 years when Jason was still at Sheffield. So it just proves that, you know, like I say, he's still got his fingers in the pies. Our Eddie, he hasn't give up quite yet on bringing players in. So like I say, that now something like that, I suppose you could say is on Eddie's head if it's a failure. People will always question, you know, what people bring in and stuff like that. A lot of them are gambles, guys. You know, it's a massive gamble. But obviously, he's seen something that he loves, and he wants to drive forward with it. And like I say, we have got tonight to watch along. So I don't know what time we are starting. Chris likes to be 45 minutes before the game, but as we've already done a match review yesterday, I don't
Oh, well,
know.
that'll be
It's going to be
6:45, so we'll be in
yeah.
Aspers.
You'll be in Aspers doing your
And
reporting.
And they've got excellent Wi-Fi
In Aspers.
in Aspers, so I might just pop on.
Yeah, you may as well, and make me jealous even more with a pint in your hand.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So again, guys,
And
thanks
the
ever so
pizza,
much.
because they do fantastic
Oh,
cheap pizzas.
God! See, now you are actually taking it to the levels that I didn't want to go
I mean,
to.
the pizzas in Aspers are absolutely sensational.
Yeah, there's no promoting this club, is there? I mean, at the end of the day, we don't get any payments for these. But if you want to sponsor us, Aspers, I mean, you know, feel free.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
only
afraid
joking.
True
I'm only
Faith
joking.
have beat us to that one.
Oh, right, okay. No problems. So again, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Like I say, not a real lot of breaking news come out. So you know, for an hour and 45 minutes, thank you for listening to us waffle. It is as we is. Up the tune for tonight. I'm sure it'll be a great performance, a great watch along for us, and obviously live for the lads that have travelled up there, and obviously the mighty win who's going as a season ticket holder and follows them throughout. So, I mean, like I say, it's going to be great nights. You're going to get some live stuff from yourself with your beer and your pizza. Hopefully talking to pundits and lads that are on the channel, and from myself and Chris, and anybody else that wants to come along. I mean, we might even have something from Paul. I know Paul said he was going to try and do some videos. So as I say, during the game, we may have some live links as well with the lads. So again,
You
come
got
and
no
join
chance
us.
of live links from the match because of the
Because of that's what I said. Every
internet
time I've
is
been up there,
non-existent.
exactly, it's been impossible. It's like going to a festival or a gig somewhere now. There just isn't enough, line out there to do everything that you want. But again, like I say, regardless of what's coming up, we should be starting around 6:45 for a 7:30 kickoff. We'll just confirm the teams and obviously go over individually what's out there. Probably have a closer look at Girona and see what team they've put out. Like I say, I think it's going to be an interesting match. It's going to test us.
And incidentally, all of every season ticket holder and every member was sent a questionnaire by the club.
Yeah.
And apparently, the single issue, there was loads of questions about everything. And the single issue, which, 99.9% of respondents put as the worst performance, was internet at St. James's Park.
Yeah.
Now, Darren Eales, with his Atlanta connections, when he built that from the ground up, you can go to Atlanta Stadium, you can go to any stadium in the US, and even when it's full, you get perfect internet. So how can they do it and we can't?
Well, it's obviously how old your receiver is up on top of the roof, isn't it? They obviously have to update things now and get up to times because everything has moved on. And like I say, there's going to be parts of the grounds that also have to be updated. And I'm sure that'll be, if it's not being looked at already. I mean, it was interesting to read about this global group that they're obviously now linked with, where they've helped us obviously in Japan. I can't remember the name of them now. I did have it on my
Savvy.
No, this the new global group. Bear with me a second, because I
The
have
gaming.
no. It's what is the name of those? Oh, I feel like a right plonker now because I had that up not so long back, and I was reading it, and I was looking at something else that I thought was pretty canny, and I've took it down.
There's Matt. He must
No,
be
I've lost
in
it.
Australia, I'm guessing. It's 10:45 p.m. here, and I've got to be up for a 4:30 kickoff. Good luck, Matt.
Absolutely. I can't find it. It'll come to me. There's a new company that's taken us over and is fixing our oh, that's not it. I thought I'd got it then. Fixing our line feed, our games, so we shouldn't have so many issues.
Okay,
like
so again, this will be
last
down
season.
to the kid who came from Manchester Airport, I assume. That's part of his purview.
Yeah. Well, obviously he'll be involved in it. I would imagine, as would a lot of others. There's obviously a meeting that's been held.
DVT, Rediffusion.
Yeah, Rediffusion.
There's a name from the past.
From the archives. No, I've lost it. Yeah, I'll find it for later on. But like I say, we are obviously now involved in a bigger and better company. That it's something global. Something, which obviously does it. Now, before I go, has anybody seen the advert for JD Sports with Ginola and Sandro Tonali?
Nope.
Have you not seen it?
No.
I have to be careful. Oh, stop. because obviously there's JD Sports' noise in the background. So
Yeah,
again,
well,
I
that's
can't
okay.
play the
They'll not.
music.
JD Sports will not mind us advertising for them.
Yeah, I know, but again, it's part of the night tech, so it's got nothing to do with the club. So what these guys are like.
Yeah.
So, but this I found absolutely superb. And again, if you haven't seen it, have a quick gander. So I'm just going to play it. Again, there's subtitles, but it's really funny with like I say, Sandro Tonali and with David Ginola, and it's obviously the way they greet each other and everything else, and it literally is the Geordie Scran. Peas, pudding, and stotty.
He's pudding stoddy.
And obviously he's. Let me just bring it down. Yeah, bon appetito. And
What's
Sandro,
this?
what is this? And Ginola's like, obviously it's amazing. And he's going through like obviously he started with the sausage roll, and this one, he brings it
Greg's.
out of the garnish. Look at this sausage roll. I love it. And I think this is something that I see the club doing even more now, and I think it's great. Um, Look at this aperitif. Look at this. Forget your Valpolicella, your Barola. Have a taste of this amazing drink.
You have to taste.
Everybody in Newcastle drinks this.
Drinks this.
Yeah. We say, cheers, mate. Love it. Savoy dip. My God. Oh, it's the first time for me as well. Oh, obviously, this is the first time Ginola's ever had a Savoy dip.
It's actually
Absolutely
dipping
love
it. What,
Yeah.
they're dipping it in?
Well, obviously the dip that it comes with, the Savoy dip. The last one I had, black bullets.
Black bullets.
Dear. Oh, well, like Sandro's face makes me laugh all the way through this. She's like, what am I tasting here? These are pure northeastern
bill.
delicacies. Yeah, you can have the bill. Oh, I love it. I thought that was so good when I saw that.
Yeah, very good. I like it.
And like I said, it just brings it just shows you the way the club are together and the togetherness. And it's all a bit light-hearted and a little bit of fun. And there is another one with Bruno and Tino and Hall. Obviously, there's a new. Shall we finish on that one, because I suppose it is news, and if anybody's getting,
Can I just address Mighty Mark's question?
Go. Yeah, you.
It's the Aspers, the best way to. I mean, you can get anywhere you want, but you have to walk through, because you need to be in Freya's Bar, which is right at the entrance to Aspers on Stowell Street, opposite the stage door, if you know where that is, opposite Rosie's, bit to the right, opposite Rosie's Bar, on Stowell Street. Go through the main door, through the double doors, and it's the bar immediately on the left-hand side.
So, there you go. That's obviously the meet-up later on. And just to finish off this one, because this is the new thing that I saw for anybody that's wanting new gear but can't get to the ground. Obviously, it's called InPost, and it's a new way of being able to order your kit or whatever you're ordering and getting it delivered. Now, I'm wondering whether these guys would allow us, because obviously this is quite there's some information, obviously, but again, because there's music there, we have to be careful. So I'll play it, and you can see today is the big day, and it's about a delivery service, and it's called InLocker, and it's another way for anybody that's looking for kit from the Toon to have their kit. And apparently there's InLocker places at the ground for you, so you can order it safely. Have it obviously put into your locker. They'll give you a code. You go to the locker and you open it up, and there's your kit. And apparently these are they're open in quite a few places and destinations around the Toon.
Right. Well,
and
I've seen
also
those lockers.
yeah, and around the country. So there you go. It's called In Post, and it's an official partner
today
to Newcastle. So there you go. So for anybody that's looking to get some kit, but want to collect it, there's ways of doing it. So there you go. So that's it. I'm gonna call it a day. Like I say, I'm gonna go and rest my voice now because I've obviously got the commentary coming up later on. So I'm gonna go and suck on a black. And here we go. So later on,
Too much information there, Bunny lad.
well, yeah, a bullet. Should I say a black bullet? I have to be careful on live views, don't I? So if we go and say, I believe it's 6:45 tonight. I'll confirm if it's any different.
Yeah,
But
40,
again,
he was on early on, 45 minutes before kickoff, so that's
45
7.
minutes. Yeah. So please, before you go, we have got loads watching. Please hit the like, subscribe for us, ding the bell because we are here all the time. And like I said, the lads in the background work tirelessly and they're always updating us while we're on live because it's very difficult to keep up to date with stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And again, so I thank you very much for throwing any information towards us during the shows. Have a great time at the match. We're the lads and up the South.
We're the lads.
And lassies tomorrow. Speak to
See you all
at
later. Thanks,
6:45.
guys. Thanks, mods.
Ta-ra, guys.